Appreciate you guys joining us. Got a great show for you today. Big game tonight. To my left, former Michigan quarterback David Cone. And usually to my right is my brother, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Crain. But he's got the flu. I told him not to get that pet pangolin, but he just never listens.
He doesn't listen.
So we got Paul the alien standing by there for some...
Earl, please.
Excuse me, Earl. He just has the Paul... must be some identity theft.
It's his disguise.
It's his disguise. It's a great disguise, just a name tag. You can't tell anything different other than the name tag.
What if his name really is Paul, though, but we say it's Earl as his alias, but really that's to throw people off?
See, I
wasn't planning on starting the show.
Yeah, you've already lost me. The chat, obviously, Blaine typically works it. Cone's going to work it today. If you donate, it's on topic. It will get read. All donations will get read at the end of the show. But, Coney, we're going to open up the phone lines today.
Yeah, you are all mine today in the chat. And the phone lines, 1-855-236-3228. Who do we want to hear from in there? Duke fans? We want to hear from Auburn fans? Florida fans? Houston fans?
Everybody. Let's just hear from everybody.
Everyone.
Everybody just call in.
Everyone call in today at 3:30 Eastern Time. 60 seconds, your hottest take. We want to hear it.
We'll see. Florida and Houston square off in the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship tonight after Duke's epic collapse in the Final Four. Alex Ovechkin breaks Wayne Gretzky's NHL goals record, and UConn upset South Carolina in the Women's National Championship game. Probably the last time we'll talk about that, but congrats to Gino Auriemma. This is the Monday edition of Crain & Company. And then there were two, Florida versus Houston, flashy versus nasty. Now, stylistically, these teams could not be more diametrically opposed. Florida, known for their offense and scoring ability, not that their defense is bad, but Houston is the exact opposite. They want to make the game gritty. They want to grind it out. They want a low-scoring physical battle. If this game gets into the 70s or above, you have to love Florida. If it's below 70, you really have to love Houston's chances. But that's not where the differences stop. Look at the head coaches. You got a young up-and-comer in Todd Golden, who's 39, an old head who's getting a chance to win his first national championship in Kelvin Sampson, who is 69 years old, and we could not have asked for a better matchup when it comes to two teams that play balls to the wall and absolutely through the whistle. And I, for one, think this has been one of the best, if not the best, NCAA tournaments that we've seen in a while. The Final Four games were fantastic, but so was the Elite Eight, so was the Sweet 16, so were the first two rounds. And tonight, we crown a champion for all the marbles, the Gators and the Cougars. I mean, which would be a hell of a fight in the animal kingdom anyway, but we're going to get it on the basketball court. The only difference, David, one team has Walter Clayton Jr., the other one doesn't. And the biggest difference between Walter Clayton Jr. and Walt Jr. from Breaking Bad is Walter Clayton leaves you crippled. What do you think?
Wow, I never thought about that. You should write a book on that.
I should.
You and I both had Florida.
Both had Florida.
Championship.
Both had Florida.
I still got a chance to win this this bracket challenge that I entered. The guard play in this game should be incredible. You talked about Walter Clayton Jr. I think he's putting on one of the best tournament performances that I can remember. But not just him, Elijah Martin for Florida, and then on the other side of this, L.J. Cryer. So, I mean, the backcourt play is going to be phenomenal. I'm just wondering, or the front court play, I'm wondering for Florida down low. We've talked about Condon a lot and the way that, he stepped up at times in the second half of the game against Auburn, but really Janai Broome was able to feast down there in the first half. What do you think Florida needs to do with their bigs to be able to stop this Houston team that's aggressive 1-5? Because Houston out-rebounded Duke 42-31 in that game. How does that happen with the tallest team in basketball?
No, and I mean, if you watch the first half of that Houston-Duke game, I mean, it felt like Duke got 1,000 second-chance points. So when I looked at the rebounding numbers at the end, you really saw the change in the second half because I feel like, to Houston first, they're relentless through the whole 40 minutes. Like, they are going to bring it every single possession, and I think that wears on teams. Like, all Houston needs is a little sliver of hope. And we're going to get to the Duke collapse here in a little bit. But when you attack the way that Houston does, and Houston has depth, but it's not like they have the most depth of any team in college basketball, or Duke didn't have depth. It's just Houston never stops. They never quit on a play. The shot goes up. Their guards crash the glass. And they're not huge down low. I mean, Duke was the biggest team in college basketball, but it's Houston's effort and their instinct of where the ball is going to be, I think is a big deal as well. But on the Florida side, this is the matchup I'm probably the most excited to see. I get the guard play is going to be fantastic. I mean, Cryer and Clayton, Uzan and Richard and Martin and those guys. It's going to be fun to watch. I mean, Emmanuel Sharp from Houston, when he gets cooking from the outside, he can really mix it up for them. But what I'm interested to see is the depth in the front court and of the big men of Florida and the waves that they throw them at you with, because they're healthy. Hanglockton's playing, Condon's playing, Chinyulu's playing. Hauk is playing. But Houston gives maniacal effort the whole game. So I thought Florida was able to lean on Auburn and kind of gas Auburn out at the end. I don't know if they can gas Houston out, but Houston's not going to be able to gas Florida out. So I think it's going to make the game even better. So the rebounding numbers, depending on where you're shooting the ball too matters, right? If you're getting the ball down in the post and you're missing shots in the post, those are shorter rebounds, which tend to go to bigger guys, as opposed to jacking up a bunch of threes like Alabama does and getting a bunch of long rebounds, which can kind of even it out if you're not as big. So we can talk about the guards. I get it. That's what everybody's going to be talking about. But the depth of Florida's big men versus the maniacal effort of Houston's quote-unquote big men, who are about 6'7", 6'8", but have 7'2", 7'3", 7'4 wingspans. That's the matchup, David, that I think is going to determine this game, outside of if Walter Clayton Jr. just goes bananas again. Yeah. But then you look at the guard play. Houston's guards guarding Florida's guards is an incredible matchup as well. Yeah. That's why, even though Duke's not in this game, and I know some people are like, oh, well, it could have been a better game. I don't know, man. I really don't know. I love this matchup. I love the way that both of these teams are different, but the effort and the toughness is very, very similar, or they wouldn't have been here. The question to me becomes from a personnel standpoint, and I believe that Florida, there's a bigger gap between how much better Florida is offensively than Houston, than how much better Houston is than Florida defensively. So from a personnel standpoint, I've got to give it to Florida.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Will Richard and Chinyulu for Florida, because those two guys, they only combined for 12 points in the game against Auburn, but I thought they provided the level of aggression in the second half that Florida was missing in the first half. And you could just see it. I mean, going for loose balls, diving for things, just pressing as hard as they could to be able to get some of that confidence back that I thought they were missing in the first half. I do want to ask you about the line, though. Florida right now -1.5 against Houston. Are you surprised the line is that tight for the championship game?
I'm going to be honest, I was a little bit. And when it came out, because it's basically a pick 'em. But to me, this is almost a hard line to make because they are so different, right? So it feels like did Vegas, and I know it's a math problem. I know you don't have a bunch of guys in there with green visors on typewriters trying to say, well, they average this amount of offensive rebounds a game and this, that, and the other. It's a math problem in the algorithm. But I always find it more fascinating when you do have teams that go about it differently, whether that be in basketball, whether that be in football, whether that be in baseball, trying to make the lines to find out. Obviously, Vegas believes Houston has a pretty good chance to win this game. I mean, they were a 5.5-point underdog to Duke. They were able to win, obviously, by 3 there at the end. I'm not shocked because the teams are so different, but I really like that line for Florida at 1.5 because I do think at the end of the day, with the depth, with the way that Florida can get hot offensively, because Cone, Houston could shut Florida down for 60% of this game, but the 40% where Florida's hitting, they can score enough points to win. I am concerned about Houston's ability to score enough points against this Florida team for 40 minutes. I mean, Houston held Duke to 3 points for the last 10 minutes of that game. I don't know if they can do the same against Florida, but Cone, pace. If you're Houston, not that you can't score in transition, but you don't want to get in a track meet with these guys. That's where you can't set up your half-court defense. Look at what happened in Florida and Auburn. First half, Florida really wasn't getting out in transition. It was like two fast break points, and they were for Auburn. Yeah. So Auburn's defense was able to get set. If you let Houston's defense get set, they can take away everything that you do. They fight through ball screens, right? They understand, they stick to the scouting report so well, and that's where Kelvin Sampson's coaching comes in.
Point total right now, 140.5. I need a lot of points in this game for the tiebreaker scenario. I need 163 or more combined points.
You probably need overtime.
I need overtime in this one. Walter Clayton Jr., how many points do you think he has in this game?
I'm going to say Walter Clayton Jr. scores 24 points in this game. But to me, I think whether we're talking about Walter Clayton Jr. or whether we're talking about L.J. Cryer, which are the two names you're going to hear the most from a guard standpoint, and really probably overall in this game, I think it's going to be the ancillary guys that decide it. Because I do think, because look, if you told Kelvin Sampson right now that Walter Clayton Jr. would score 24 points or less, I think he'd take it. Because, I mean, Walter Clayton Jr. is just putting up crooked numbers against everybody. So Walter Clayton Jr. can quote-unquote get his, but if you shut everybody else down, kind of like Auburn did in the first half against Florida, Walter Clayton Jr. was scoring, but it was going to the rack. It was getting 2-pointers. They were hard shots at the rim outside of a couple threes. Then I think that's how you beat him. But who's going to be the guy that nobody's really talking about right now from either side that is able to come through and break through and have that big game? Could it be Will Richard from Florida?
Howell?
Could it be Houck, right, who can shoot the threes? You look at Houston. I know, Uzan's a high-quality name. He's much improved. But from a scoring output, from a volume standpoint, can he keep Houston in it? That's what I'm interested to see, because typically it's the ancillary guys. Because Houston's going to do everything in their power, everything that Kelvin Sampson has, to try and limit Walter Clayton Jr., which should open up our opportunities for other guys as well. So that's what I'm interested to see. And I wonder how much, Cone, and I want to hear from fans in the chat here as well, how much Florida has studied what Braden Smith and Purdue offensively did against Houston, because Houston likes to double out, right? They trap on the baseline, which a decent amount of teams do. But Purdue and Braden Smith was able to drag Houston out and create those weak side openings for guys when that double would come. So if you're going to double Braden at some point, you think you would double Walter Clayton Jr. Does that create opportunities for Florida to be able to expose Houston a little bit schematically on defense, like we saw Purdue do in that second half, where I think Braden Smith had 12 assists, which was it's one of the best games by a point guard that I've ever seen. But I cannot wait for this matchup. We're going to have a live reaction right after it on this YouTube channel, so make sure you check that out. But let's go ahead and get to the chat here.
Got some Florida fans in here. David S. says, man, brother, I can't believe we made it this far. I can.
Yeah. I mean, hell, after what y'all did to Auburn and Neville, I pretty much had y'all chalked to win the SEC tournament and get a chance to win this.
King Don Sobek, $2 donation. Draft content soon, ? Y'all are the best. Go Pack.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you know we're going to cover the draft.
$5 donation from Steve Parker. Happy 8th level update to my son, Ike Parker, ace lefty pitcher for the West Knox County Cardinals. Jake, can he get a motivational speech? At the end
I can do it at the end. Happy level update, Ike.
$5 donation from Devil Doc. Are y'all live streaming tonight?
No, we're going to have a live reaction right after it. So right when the game ends, we're going to have a full breakdown of what happened.
All right, King Don here. Hal was throwing up bricks Saturday. He provided some good minutes, though.
Who? It's talking about Hal? I mean, again, I think what Hal does, a lot of it is that...
He got 12 points off.
Yeah, I mean, and from a point scoring standpoint, yes. But if you look and you watch Florida throughout, I mean, go back to the Texas Tech game. Everybody talks about what Walter Clayton did in those last 6-7 minutes. Houck was the one who started it. I mean, he banged 2 threes. I mean, the game against Auburn, he gets the big and one late. Houck is just a guy that, he's an energy guy. I think he kind of represents not the upper echelon of Florida's team, not as much of the flashiness, but to just get after your ass, outwork you, out-physical you, and kind of have that hard hat mantra that this Florida team's kind of adopted outside of having guys that can really put the ball in the basket too. So it's, I think Houck is one of those glue guys, one of those guys, he may not score 30, but you look back and you go, and he does things without the ball in his hands, and he does things defensively that can really affect the game there late.
Fighting Camel says, did y'all call it or did y'all call it? Duke scored 67 points. I think Blaine said 65 for Houston to win.
Yeah, I mean, we had him in our dog bets. Now, I know there weren't a lot of dogs to pick when it came down to the Final Four, but Blaine picked Houston to win.
He did.
I mean, he picked them. Not a lot of people were picking Houston to win. Blaine picked them, and he's right. I mean, they're junkyard dogs.
I had to go back and check my locks, leans, and dogs, because remember I took the under in the Florida and Auburn game, and I said it'd be 79-75. It was 79-73.
Yeah.
Those 2 points off.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. All right, one more. Then we'll move.
All right, one more here. Let's go to Shadow 2. I had to watch a game with someone who doesn't know basketball. Worst, easier than baseball, considering I don't understand some of the new rules.
I mean, look, the plan was for me to watch that game alone by myself. It didn't work out, so I had to, again, temper my reactions, which, I don't know, in the long run may have been a good thing. But, I kind of like to watch it in my own, I don't want to say safe space, but bubble of chaos. That's kind of how it works out. But one thing you don't want to have when it comes to chaos is Mother's Day gifts, okay? You want to make sure, just like Valentine's Day, all right, just like Christmas, you're getting your work done early and you're making good decisions. And this Mother's Day, you need to treat a mom in your life to Raycon's Everyday Earbuds. Because look, every mom deserves a moment to relax, recharge, and enjoy her favorite music, podcasts, and calls in crystal clear sound. So if you're looking for the perfect Mother's Day gift, Raycon's Everyday Earbuds go wherever mom does. From her morning workout to work calls and beyond, even ending those speakerphone conversations everybody in the house can hear. We all know that. Plus, one of the best parts about what Raycon gives you with these earbuds is they have a 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity. She can pair with 2 devices at once. No more, honey, can you help me with the Bluetooth moments? It's very, very simple. So go to buyraycon.com/booster to get 20% off site-wide. Right now, Raycon is offering up to 20% off. That's on the whole site. All right, when you go to BUYRAYCON.com/booster. That's buyraycon.com/booster. Go check them out so you don't cause chaos. But David, I mean, staying on this chaos narrative here, what happened to Duke in this the last minute of this game against Houston was absolute savagery by Houston and tragedy for Duke.
Duke squandered a 14-point lead in the final 8 minutes and had 1 field goal in the final 10 minutes.
Incredible. With that team, with Cooper Flagg, with Proctor, with Malawach, with Con Knipple. And we have it right here. We kind of want to go through how this happened. So just to set it up, Duke, and you mentioned they were up 14. They're up 67-61 now with 1 minute and 4 left. And David, they have the ball. Mm-hmm. If you're a Duke fan right now, regardless, you were up 14, now you're only up 6, but you got to be feeling amazing. And Houston offensively is not a juggernaut, and you're great on defense. So we're going to go through this kind of clip by clip. Go ahead and play this. I want to talk through what happens. All right, go ahead and play it from right here. So you can see Duke taking their time, which they should have. A very, very smart play. You're now under a minute. All right, you're going to get the high ball screen, a slip off the screen. Still feeling good. 8 seconds on the clock. Even if you get a shot clock violation, you're not feeling bad. Knipple goes in, it gets sent. All right, pause it right here. So now Houston, you're down 6. You got the stop you needed to get. But David, the clock's still moving. There's 45 seconds here. Do you have to have a 3 in your mind if you're Houston? Or are you just getting first available best shot?
I think you just go get the best bucket you can, especially with the type of defense they play, and you just had a blocked shot. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I was still feeling good for Duke.
Oh, you had to feel good for Duke. If I told Duke fans you would be in this scenario right now, I think everybody would take that. All right, up 6, 45 seconds. All right, you're going to have to make Houston hit a shot. Let's go ahead and play it. Emmanuel Sharp has the ball. He's dribbling it up quick. Go ahead and play the clip. All right, so here we go. We're going to dribble down. Got to get a shot quick. ISO. Now you look like you're in trouble. All right, you're going to get the pass off here to Uzan. There's the slip. Why help? Why help? Stop it there. This is what, and Duke is so well coached. So well coached. Yeah, Uzan's got the ball. Not that he can't make the 3, but I'm worried about Sharp. Sharp, literally, pun intended. He is their sharp shooter. So you leave him on the switch to let Sharp get a chance at 3, and he hits it. So now it's 67-64. There's 31.8 seconds. So now, if you're Duke, A, you got to get the ball in. Mm-hmm. Number 2, if you're Houston, you got to foul, right? Because if Duke bleeds this out, you're going to have 1.8 seconds, 1.5 seconds. It's not going to work out. Let's go ahead and play it from here. But what's the one thing you can't do, Cone?
Turn the ball over.
Turn the ball over. You got sped up. Let's go ahead and play it. Here comes the inbounds pass. You go short to Cooper Flagg. So you pull it back out. I'm going to jack the 3. I miss it, put back dunk. Okay, stop it there. Disaster at this point.
This is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling a little nervous.
It's everything that could have gone wrong in a 17 to 20 second span has gone wrong. By David, stop the clip right there. By one of the most well-coached teams, by one of the most disciplined teams in college basketball. But having said all that, you're still up 1. There's 25 and a half seconds left. And guess what Duke is, David? They're one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country. So yeah, you're getting a little nervous, a little bit shaky, but you can still wait them out. You got to get the ball in. Let's go ahead and play it. So here they go. You do get the ball in. They're going to trap. Good job beating the trap. Proctor's a great free throw shooter. So, okay, here we go. 20.3. Houston's made it scary. Let's go ahead and get to the free throw line here. You're like, all right, well, Proctor, yeah, it's a 1-and-1, which is huge, by the way. He's going to bang both of these. It's going to be a 3-point lead. Now, if I'm a Duke fan, you know what I'm asking myself, David? Are we going to foul up 3? Mm-hmm. Is John Shire going to foul Houston up 3 and make them go to the free throw line? Because Houston has been out rebounding you now to this point. So do you risk it or do you make him hit a 3? But we don't get to know that because this happens. Let's go ahead and play it. One of the best free throw shooters in college basketball. Off. And you get an over the back.
Over the back on Cooper Flag.
What did you think about this call?
Initially, I was a bit surprised, but it's one of those things where, just like we've talked about in a couple Super Bowls and national championships, it's like you don't want to get in a situation for referees where, oh, you can't make that call in that spot. Either it's a foul or it's not a foul, and it's one of those that by rule, I guess you can call it. I just don't know if I'm blowing the whistle in that scenario. I
would have probably kept the whistle in my pocket, but I do understand. You could make a foul out of that.
Can we see it again?
Like let's rewind it one more time because they show it again. So let's go back here. You're getting to look at Tugler.
But in basketball, it's like anytime there's content, you could.
But we see this with like pass interference and stuff. So watch flag here. Go ahead and play it like in kind of slow motion like this, like you're playing it. All right. So there's flag. The right hand is where I think they got him. And we see this in football too on pass interference. Sometimes that forehand that the DB has is fine, but it's that other hand that's grabbing. So I'm guessing they're calling what he did with his right hand, but you could also make the case that Roberts kind of hooks him and forces him to do that, which takes that chicken wing down.
His hand's behind him right there.
So again, I can understand both sides of this. But since it's
that's a no call for me.
Well, David, if I'm the referee, I'm not blowing it because it does look like, just like, and I'll use pass interference again, if there's hand fighting between both guys, you let it go. But they don't let it go. So now if you're Houston, okay, let's go ahead and fast forward this thing to where Houston and Roberts, who's not an elite free throw shooter, is shooting free throws with a chance to tie it or take the lead. And it is a 1-and-1, so he's got to make both of them to take the lead or at least make the front end to tie it. Then if he misses it, Duke gets a chance at a game-winning shot. Let's go ahead and play it. Here's Roberts. The difference. He makes his. Mm-hmm. And you look at the percentages, you would have lost that bet. The second one. This is just having that dog in you, man. This is what Houston's about. So they make both of them. So now you're John Shire and Duke. All right? You're down 1. Oh, my God, what's happened? But guess what, baby? You got Cooper Flag. There's one guy that's shooting this shot. And he's the youngest guy, I think, on your team. And you're going to give him a chance. And to be honest with you, Cone, as we play this thing out, I thought he got a pretty good look.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and play it here at the end. Duke down 1 somehow. But Cooper Flag has a chance to send him to the Natty. Let's play it. So you're going to run your set to Cooper. You're going to get an inbounds pass here. All right. Cooper's going to set the screen, get off the screen. They give it to Knipple. Here comes Cooper. All right, ISO ball. Houston, they don't double.
They don't
double.
I mean, your best player got a good look.
You get a good look. You get the rebound. Now the game is going to be over. And Houston goes on to win the game. So if you're Duke, you had multiple chances, even when you were only up 6, with what, 45 seconds to go? To me, that is a collapse.
Yeah.
And it's a collapse for this reason. Number one, you got held to 3 points the last 10 minutes. That's pretty obvious. You got to give credit to Houston. But you still, David, had one of your best free throw shooters at the line to be able to put you up 3 to probably go on and win the game. And you missed the front end of the window.
It's one of the worst collapses that I can remember this late in the tournament, but I also just want to put it in perspective. This Duke team still made the Final Four. right? Like they still went on a very good run. They beat Alabama by 20 points, and we're talking about a Houston team that's so scrappy they held Tennessee to 15 points in the first half. This is how they win. Scrappiness, persistence, effort. So it's not surprising that this is the type of style game that Houston was able to win, but just sitting there watching it unfold and watching even our buddy John Fanta send out tweets, hey, one team has Cooper Flag, the other doesn't. This one's not going to be, a game for much longer. And then all of a sudden they start creeping back in. I was just trying to remember the last time I've seen a collapse that was this severe this late in the tournament.
Well, everybody made a big deal, and I get it about the Texas Tech kind of collapse against Florida, but we were way deeper in this game when the collapse happened than in the Texas Tech and the Florida game. Where does this, David, in your mind, put the legacy of Cooper Flag at Duke? Because I still think that Cooper Flag is the best true freshman that I have ever seen play at Duke. I thought from and listen, I'm not saying he's the most athletic. I mean, he's athletic as hell and he's huge, but Zion was more athletic. I would say Kyrie was.
He went farther in the tournament than Zion did.
And Kyrie, Kyrie got hurt. So, where do you put Cooper Flag after losing in the Final Four with this team, with 5, 6 NBA players on it? What does this do to his legacy moving forward?
I think his legacy will be fine because I think he's going to have a good pro career. And sadly, I do think that matters, right? Like the type of pro career he has. It's just like what we talked about with Charles Barkley and Auburn the other day. Like if Charles Barkley hadn't had an incredible pro career, you probably don't associate him with what he did at Auburn quite as much. This will get brought up for sure. But still, like I said, you won your region. You were the number 1 seed. You made a Final Four. There's a lot of really good players who are famous and historic at their schools who didn't make a Final Four, and Cooper Flag did that.
Yeah, and I think, again, this comeback just shows you the relentlessness of Houston. They just never stop, regardless of the score. They're like water hitting concrete. Like, eventually it's going to crack, and they're going to take advantage. But we got the Hot Take Hotline opening here in 4 minutes. 1-855-236-3228. We want to hear from you. Let's go to the chat here quickly, Dave.
All right, hold on. Let me get caught up on the chat here.
Get caught up in there.
Oh, man. First one up here. Proctor is not a good free throw shooter.
Proctor is a good free throw shooter. He was at what percent? Like 78%, somewhere around there. If that's not a good free throw shooter, then there's not many guys that are.
Next one up, plain truth. Cooper Flag is overrated. He got good looks at the shots. He ain't on Carmelo Anthony's level as a freshman.
Well,
but Carmelo might be the greatest freshman.
Yeah, if we're okay, I don't think that makes Cooper Flag overrated because he's not as good as Carmelo Anthony. I mean, the guy was 17 years old for a decent amount of the season. He won National Player of the Year, the Wooden and the AP. He was a complete basketball player. He wasn't just a scorer. He could defend. He could rebound. He could assist. He didn't turn the ball over. He had a high IQ. I don't think Cooper Flag's overrated.
King Malik says the Dukies were mad because they felt like he could have passed the ball out of that pressure to Flag, who's an 84% free throw shooter.
Yeah, but again, I've watched Tyrese Proctor shoot free throws all year. I've watched Tyrese Proctor knock down big shots in big moments all season. So to me, the perfect guy to shoot free throws in that situation is Con Knipple. That's going to be the best guy you want to shoot him. But Duke is overall a very, very good free throw shooting team. That's what I think.
It's funny, the one superstar freshman who was actually able to win the title at Duke in recent memory was the guy who turned into a massive bust, LOL.
Yeah, and that's why, to your point about the NBA career, obviously matters to how your legacy looks in college, which I'm not a fan of, but you are correct. I just go back and, again, at Duke, where the standard and the expectation is as high as it can possibly be, Duke is one of the few places where you can be disappointed with losing in the Final Four. Auburn, for example, obviously I'm disappointed Auburn lost to Florida. Disappointed Auburn didn't get the ball to Janai Broome in the second half, which is just nuts to me. But it was the Final Four. Go ahead.
A couple comments on the foul here. We have one that says, it wasn't a foul, LOL, he was under him. But Malcolm Martin says, even if you don't call it, Houston was getting the rebound. That part may be true, but they wouldn't be shooting in that scenario, right?
No, they wouldn't be, and they would still be down one. Again, like you said, I personally, if I was the official there, I would not have called the foul, especially with the game was officiated, the way it was officiated. throughout the game, and you noticed that because nobody was in the double bonus at the end of the second half. So obviously they were letting guys play. But, if you look hard enough, you can find a little bit of a foul in there. I don't like it. Not a big fan of it. But it is what it is. Duke shouldn't have been in that position. That's the thing. Duke shouldn't have been in a position where an over-the-back foul against Cooper Flagg would have given Houston the lead. Yeah. All they had to do was get that inbounds pass in. In reality, you get the inbounds pass in, you don't get the missed three put-back dunk to make it even tighter. It was just an epic collapse by Duke, and I know a lot of people are happy about that. But I'm interested to hear from people on the phone lines. But let's move on here to a couple reactions.
It's not every day that a record by Wayne Gretzky gets broken, but one did. Alex Ovechkin's been running this one down for a while. He broke Wayne Gretzky's goal record this past week. Do we have the video here? Let's watch it.
Strong.
Gotta feel like Ovechkin's been playing for 30 years.
Center. Send in Wilson on the flank.
Only Russian I like.
Ovechkin fires.
There it is.
Look how epic this is.
I mean, dude, this is like to the hockey fans out there. Like, where do you? And I know Gretzky's got all these assists and all these other records and stuff. But anytime you pass Wayne Gretzky in anything, hell, you pass him in the hallway, it's a win. But anytime you pass Wayne Gretzky in anything in hockey, it's obviously a huge moment. I just wonder, did any hockey fans ever think this record would be broken? Because, you look at some records you think will never be broken. DiMaggio's hit streak, right? Games, where he got a hit in a row. You look at Jack Nicklaus, the amount of majors he won. I mean, Tiger hasn't even caught up to him, probably won't catch up to him. Where is this on that list? Cal Ripken Jr., right? The amount of games played in and stuff like that. I wonder where this is on that list.
This is where it gets really wild. So Wayne Gretzky played 1,487 career games, and he scored his 894 goals. This game right here was Alex Ovechkin's 1,487th game, the exact same number for him to score 895 goals.
That's
wild.
That is wild. Well, hey, you got a pattern. How many games do you need to play to break that record?
About that many. Still be really, really good.
No, it's incredibly impressive.
I saw one incredible post this weekend that said Alex Ovechkin just did the unthinkable. He got people to watch a New York Islanders game.
It's like when one of the big soccer stars come over to MLS, like when they're like, Messi's going to Miami, like everybody's like, oh my God, I care about, not that, look, Miami's a pretty big soccer town just because of the demographic of Miami, but no, that is a good point.
Let's go back to Duke for a second because, and this was a story from our director, Trey here, Duke's freshman center, Malawach, could potentially be deported. Okay, this is what the story says. A Duke Star Hoops player may face deportation because of the State Department's ruling on South Sudanese visa holders put into place right before the team lost in the Final Four, like we were just talking about. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced on social media Saturday he is taking actions to revoke all visas held by South Sudanese passport holders, which would include Duke Star Malawach.
Well, they say some things are bigger than sports. Now, the reasoning for that, isn't there some sort of
Rubio claimed the restriction was due to the failure of South Sudan's transitional government to accept the return of its repatriatized citizens in a timely manner.
Okay.
Meaning the African nation has not said it will take back its migrants booted from the U.S. within a certain time frame.
Well, you got to play by the rules, man. At the end of the day, some things matter more than sports. I just wonder, what would have happened if, Duke would have beaten Houston, or even before the Final Four, Duke wins the Elite Eight game, and you get that week off. All of a sudden, they're like, hey, man, you're starting center. Sorry, not sorry. You got to go. What? If you're John Shire.
Hold on. If that happened, and they were playing against Florida, because Florida advanced on the other side, Marco Rubio, senator from Florida, now you got a real conspiracy on your hands. Now you got a real,
think
corruption.
I think about it in terms of, if you're John Shire, there is nothing you can do. What are you going to do? Fight the government? Duke's got a lot of pull. A lot of pull in college basketball. Coach K has a lot of pull.
Wait, they're saying Marco Rubio's a Florida alum.
No, he's from Florida. Doesn't his son play on the basketball?
But they're saying he went to Florida.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes 100% sense.
Yeah, that could have got.
But what if the NCAA was like, all right, now though, Like, if they were playing Florida in the Natty, now one of Florida's players got to go. Like, what's that one guy? Klobuchar? Let's start looking at that.
Y'all got any Russians or Ukrainians?
An eye for an eye. There's probably one of them. At least a couple of them.
Oh, man. Well, I hope that situation works out where...
I hope so, too, man. But, look, Duke lost, so at the end of the day... Like, I'm sure, like, so what about NBA? He's like an NBA... big-time NBA prospect. So, like, now, is it no? Sorry. Have fun in the South Sudanese League. Somebody's getting a good one.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting a real good one over there.
Yeah, so, number one pick.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
All right, next one up here. The UConn Huskies women's team beat South Carolina 82-59 for the national championship. No starter for South Carolina scored in double figures.
Gino.
Added
a lot of people said Gino was washed.
Mm.
I mean, he's made like 16 to 17 Final Fours. They just haven't won it. Look, I'm not shocked that UConn won it with Paige Beckers and the team they had. But they put absolute belt to ass on South Carolina.
I couldn't believe that.
I mean, if you saw Dawn Staley on the sidelines too on the bench, I mean, I think they were down 13 or 14. I mean, she could kind of see the writing on the wall. I was just shocked that it was that bad because I mean, those two teams were pretty evenly matched. I thought UConn was a 2 seed. I think South Carolina they weren't. I think Texas was the number 1 overall seed, but South Carolina was a 1 seed. And UConn was a 2 seed. So shout out to Gino Auriemma. I think Stephen A. Somebody said he's the greatest coach in American sports history or something like that. I don't know about that. But like they've done a lot of winning over there. Like a lot of winning over there. So congrats to UConn.
All right, one more. 2 dudes competed for the women's championship. You're already laughing. You're already laughing. Okay. 2 dudes competed in the women's pool championship title. This was at the Ultimate Pool Women's Pro Series event. Can we at least change the name if 2 dudes are playing for the championship? Which one of them already won? Harriet Haynes, Jake, in case you were wondering. Harriet Haynes defeated Lucy Smith. Those 2.
Lucy Smith
right there. What's confusing about this?
Everything.
Say her name.
Okay. So...
this is a South Park episode.
No, I feel like I'm in this happens so much. I feel like I'm just in a season of Black Mirror. So just to make sure I'm going about this the right way, 2 dudes competed for the women's championship in pool billiards.
Correct.
So, okay, a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
One, why would you not, like, it's pool. Why do you have to go play in the women's division? Like this, like why are you not just good enough at pool to, like this to me is the most egregious example of not being good enough in a men's sport that you have to go play with the women's. It's billiards. Like if you're just great at billiards, just play with the dudes. I don't understand this one. This one isn't even I'm so much stronger than you. Now I know they can hit the pool ball harder. I get that. There's an advantage there. I'm not saying there's not. But like this one doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
This is a great example of the line in Lady Ballers when the kid says, man, this is awesome. This is almost like watching men's sports. When you got both of the guys competing, or both dudes. There was one comment on social media that I thought encapsulated what I was trying to say the other day when we were talking about the fencing story. And it goes like this. For pool, chess, and bowling, I don't see a gender advantage. These sports could all be one single open category. Okay, I don't necessarily agree with that on the premise, but also it's not one open category. Like we said the other day, I've played co-ed football before. There are co-ed football leagues, and you know what you're getting into, and the rules dictate what you can and can't do in a league like that. If we're going to have that and a guy wins and everyone signed up for that, okay. These girls signed up for a women's billiards championship.
Yeah, and what do you think that way? I mean, just what a coincidence that it was the 2 dudes. Like, so obviously there's something. Like, bowling is a horrible example. You've seen a dude throw a bowling ball and a girl. We went bowling. Me and my wife went bowling with Blaine and his girlfriend the other day. There's a humongous difference between me throwing the bowling ball.
You're just really strong.
And what my wife's strong too. Like, but at the end of the day, like that. This is just the weirdest. This is like, I don't know, man. Like at this point, it's always the ancillary sports too. Yeah. It's always like the most, like, hey, it's disc golf or it's swimming, or it's billiards. Like,
Don Staley might get one for next.
I don't know. After that ass whooping that they got, you may have to get one of them dudes off the practice squad to go win it. But all right, phone lines are open. You let me know, Coney, when we're ready. But for right now, let's get to the chat.
All right, we got some callers on the line. Let's go ahead and get to them. Let's start with Michael in Alabama. Michael, what's your hot take?
Hey, guys. Yeah, we had a great season in basketball. But, Jack, what do you think we're going to do in football this year? Over.
Well, look, I'm cautiously optimistic about Auburn this year because the couple of guys that I've talked to talk about the quarterbacks. I get it. Quarterback is extremely important. I think Jackson Arnold's going to be the guy. I'm interested to see how he does his second bite at the apple in an RPO offense, see how much he's grown, see if the help around him, is good enough. But I'm hearing good things about the line of scrimmage. That's what I need to hear. All right? I need to hear good things about the offensive line and the defensive line. And what I'm hearing is this is the best combination of offensive line and defensive line from a starter standpoint and from a depth standpoint that Auburn has had in a long time. Because I would much rather be really good up front and okay everywhere else than okay up front and really good everywhere else. So, Michael, I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll see how it works out at the quarterback position. But I think Auburn's got a chance this year to really improve. And again, that's not going to be hard compared to what they've done in the past. But I think this could be a really good Auburn team.
And now that the basketball tournament is ending tonight, we're going to be getting into some of our previews for college football.
Yes, it's coming.
As well as the NFL draft. Thanks for calling in, Michael. Let's go to Jack in Hawaii. Jack, what's your hot take?
All right, guys. Just want to reflect a little bit on Auburn's basketball season. Such a historic season, winning in Maui. Hardest SEC regular season, took it outright, winning at Rupp. There's only 3 teams in the past 6 years that make it to the Final Four twice. UConn, Duke, Houston, and Auburn, right? Mm-hmm. It's just great. I think Auburn fan really need to appreciate that. One more thing is I kind of not liking the narrative of Pearl and Golden relationship. I don't know why. Like when I watch the game, Golden have a lot more passion. I don't know if it's because of the narrative. Bruce just seemed like not as passionate. And I don't see it in our guys' eyes at the end of the game. Maybe they're fatigued because of the 7-man rotation. And this is my bold prediction, very end. I think Bruce is going to retire, and Steven is going to take that torch, and Steven is going to be the guy that deliver us the championship.
Yeah. Jack, great call, buddy. Thanks for calling in. I'm sure the weather's great out there in Hawaii. A lot better than we experienced here in Nashville last 3 days. There's nothing but red on the map. Here's what I'll say about Auburn's season overall. I think 2 things can be true at once. Number one, it's an incredible season. Historic season. You mentioned Maui, the non-conference schedule that was brutal. They were able to navigate through so successfully. You win the SEC regular season in what people are saying is the hardest conference ever. And I think the SEC's come through in the NCAA tournament. We'll see if Florida can finish the deal tonight. And then you make it to a Final Four. If we're to the point where we're complaining about being disappointed in the Final Four, I remember when Simeon Bauer's ass was dribbling the ball up to court. Okay, so unbelievably grateful. What they did was amazing, and you can't say enough good stuff about them. On the other hand, I will say you do feel like in the second half, Auburn got away from what was working. Not getting the ball to Janai Broome, which allowed the guards to turn the ball over more, which cost Auburn the game. To me, watching what Auburn did in the second half was like if in football you ran for 250 yards on the ground in the first half and you're bashing their brains in, then you come out in the second half and decide to throw it 75% of the time. Because Florida was in a point where they were either going to have to double Janai, which would open some of the guys from 3, or just let him stay singled up and let him keep cooking. But you don't have to double a guy who doesn't get the ball. I thought probably the biggest, and again, Bruce Pearl's forgot more about basketball than I know. But the fact that Bruce Pearl did not call a timeout within the first 5 minutes of the second half to say, hey, get the ball to Janai Broome is shocking to me. I'd have called all my timeouts. I'd have started taking guys off the court. Like, because you do feel like Auburn and Florida made the shots. They forced some of those turnovers they forced were just great defense. But it was just, and that's kind of, I think, a little bit of the knock sometimes against Coach Pearl is that, yeah, you run plays and you do this stuff, but Auburn can get very undisciplined and go away from what works and just start trying to play hero ball by not giving it to your hero who finished top 2 in Player of the Year. As far as Bruce Pearl retiring, I don't know anything about that. I think Stephen Pearl's going to take over regardless. But it was an incredible year. But, yeah, you feel like Auburn just – and Todd Golden, it does feel like Todd Golden wasn't as friendly in this relationship as during the game as Bruce Pearl was. Todd Golden was out to kill him. That's what he was doing. Like, there is no friends. There are no friends. There is no family during this game. This is the Final Four. And from what I've heard, the way Todd Golden handled halftime, it was very, very heated. And Florida came out and played like that. It just seemed like Auburn came out, avoided the game plan that was working, and played not to lose in the second half. And that's what hurts the most. Is, if you'd just gotten your ass beat, like from the jump, okay. Like they were just better. Auburn didn't do what was working, but it still was a great year.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Sheldon in Florida. Sheldon, what's your hot take?
My guy, Jake.
Oh, God. Is this, wait a minute.
Hey.
Is this my guy from High Top?
The one and only, baby.
Dude, what is up?
Hey, them Gator boys stay hot, okay? First of all. So, second of all, Blaine, you took Florida to win it all, so no big deal. But Blaine MIA the Monday after has me upset. I don't know. I may have missed why.
Hey, talk your ish, Sheldon. Talk your ish to him. I mean, he's sick. I mean, I saw him. He's legitimately sick. But, I mean, Michael Jordan played through the flu.
He was barking, chirping. I remember the clip of him. I'm taking Auburn. I needed that energy today. But honestly, the alien provides better commentary anyway, so it's fine. Them Gator boys stay hot, and you're 100% right. Bruce didn't want the smoke. He was laughing and giggling and talking about how great it was, win or lose. I was like, this guy doesn't want it. This guy didn't want it. Todd didn't have a smirk on him. Todd was ready to come in there and stomp on some throats.
That's unfair to Bruce.
I mean, look, it's Sheldon, and listen, Sheldon does a great job on his show. I go in there during football season. And, Florida fans needed this too. But not that, and again, Billy exceeded expectations last year. I think we can all agree there. We were one of the few that believed in Billy. Blaine was. I will give Blaine credit. Not. Blaine hated on Billy Napier the whole time. But there seemed to be in that relationship that Todd Golden, I mean, you could just look on his face in the silence. Now, look, Bruce, I don't think passion's the right word. Bruce is running around screaming and all that. But my thing is, like, pregame, I don't want to do an interview side by side with you. Like, I don't, like, if it was me and, like, that's not even your son. Like,
he did tell us that.
If it was Steven,
I'm not Todd's father.
That is true. Now, if it was your son on the other side, okay. Like, but I'm out there to break your heart because you already beat me once when game day was there at my crib. It just, this whole... We're at the end of the day, like, let's be friends. Okay, that's fine. But for these next 40 minutes, I want to pull your pants down in front of God and everybody in the final.
I'm gonna have the back of the one who came on this show.
Oh, I'm not.
Todd
I'm
Golden
not
comes
taking
on this
his
show.
back.
Maybe we get back even Steven. But with that being said, I took Florida and I'm trying to win my bracket tonight.
Listen, I understand your energy right now.
I need a lot of points.
I understand.
Can we score a lot of points tonight from both teams?
I understand your energy.
Don't need some defensive grinded out battle. Let's go to Matthew in Atlanta. Matthew, what's your hot take?
Hey guys, it's a privilege to talk to y'all.
What up?
Another Auburn call here. Just want to say War Eagle. I'm so proud of this team. I'm so proud of all these transfers that came in and showed the world that they are bigger than their star count. Here is my hot take. I believe that if Auburn football does not hit the 8-win mark this season, in Hugh Freeze's third season at Auburn, that we should redirect, not all, but
I know where you're going.
Put a pause on the football rebuild and capitalize on Bruce Pearl being in Auburn while we have him, and let's go get a championship.
Yeah. Okay, Matthew, you bring up something that I do kind of want to discuss because I've talked about this on some of the radio shows I've gone, especially the local ones in Auburn. And you're right. Again, having said all that about what happened in the Florida game, greatest season in Auburn history. If you would have told me this is how it would have worked out, I want to win the whole thing. I get it, but I would have taken it. If you would have told me, hey, you're going to go to the Final Four, of course I would have taken it, because this is one of the few times where Auburn lived up to the expectations, and they were able to put it all together throughout the whole season. So yes, kudos to Coach Pearl, the staff. They did incredible. The players, you're exactly right. So I was wondering when somebody would ask this, because how long does it take, or how long would it take for a program like Auburn, an athletic department like Auburn, which we know is still football is king? How many Final Fours, or do you have to win a national championship or win multiple national championships in a 5-year or 10-year span to at least even it, to where it's like, we care as much about basketball as football? I don't know if that could ever happen.
No,
but if
that's
Auburn
not going to happen. But what he's saying is, should you at least go out and get one championship? I mean, the Final Four, that's no big accomplishment anymore, because Bruce has done it twice since 2019. Do you divest some money into basketball to make sure that you can go get a championship? I mean, even if it were just a hypothetical, right? And you say, like, okay, if you put all NIL towards basketball instead of football, you would get a national championship in basketball in the next 3 years. Would you take that?
All, like football gets none? Are you saying give more to basketball than to football?
Football's going 4-8, brother, sorry, for several years in a row.
To win a basketball national championship in 3, I'm guaranteed one.
In this hypothetical, you're guaranteed one.
4-8?
But
do
Auburn,
we beat Bama?
But Auburn football is a laughing stock. Just a laughing stock.
Now, here's what I want to do. Let's take 10, 15% away from the football team and give it to the basketball team. But let's keep that and have an incentive base. An incentive base for Hugh Freeze. You got to win 9, and we'll put it back up. All right. But I just wonder again, how many bad seasons in a row in football and great seasons in a row in basketball would it take to flip it?
See, even if you do that a little bit, then you run the risk of being like, you know what, they're not a serious football school. Plus, in that scenario, I guaranteed you a championship. You can never do that, because even if you put all the money towards basketball, it's still a single elimination tournament. I don't care if you go get the best 5 guys in the country, you could lose.
I don't think
Duke was supposed to be unbeatable this year.
Yeah, I don't think Auburn will never not be a football school.
Yeah, I don't think so either. All right, Kevin in Oklahoma, what's your hot take?
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing? First-time caller. You love the show. Y'all are amazing.
Thanks, brother.
I'm calling because I had the greatest Saturday night as a sports fan, arguably ever, watching that comeback that Houston had on Duke.
Talk me through it.
All week listening to 10 hours of pundits saying that they didn't have what it took to beat this 6'6" across-the-board backcourt and 7-foot front court. And here we are, fellas, in the biggest game of the year for them. What do you think? Who's going to be the X factor for Houston and get this done against Florida? Thank you.
Well, Kevin, first off, congrats, buddy. This has got to be a hell of a ride. And listen, I know we kind of joked about the Kelvin Sampson thing. I like Kelvin Sampson. I like the way he coaches. He's an old school type of guy. Obviously, his players respect him the way he's able to get after him like that. I just feel like it's going to be somebody that nobody is talking about. Like, you're going to hear LJ Cryer. You're going to hear Roberts. You're going to hear Uzan. Like,
Sharp.
Is it Emmanuel Sharp? Not that they're not going to talk about Emmanuel Sharp, but is he going to get just incredibly hot? Like, is he going to be the one that can go toe for toe with Walter for a little bit to just keep Houston in it? Because Florida's going to go on a spurt. Like, they're going to spurt you. The question is, how long is the spurt? Is it 7 minutes or is it 3 minutes? And if it's 3 minutes, can you answer with them? Like, because that's what Auburn was doing in the first half. They were answering with what Florida would do with Janai Broome, and then some other guys were making some shots. I just think it's going to be somebody for Houston that nobody is talking about, or not talking about as much as some of these other guys. But Kevin, good luck to you, buddy. I can't wait to watch.
Thank y'all for calling in. We'll get to it. If you were left on the line, call in again on Friday. We'll try and get to you.
Yep. All right, let's get to bets. Tonight, let's throw them up there. I'm going Florida money line. Sorry, Kevin. Okay, if I can get Florida money line at -115, because that's, it's -1.5 on the bucket line. I'm going to take the Gators, and then Cone, I'm trying to will this into reality for you.
Oh,
I'm going to take the over at 140.5. Right, Duke, Florida, 70-67. I got to stop using my Jedi mind tricks to make stuff move. Did the alien do that?
No, I did that with my mind.
Oh, okay, good. I would actually rather hope that than the alien be alive. So I'm going to take the Houston Florida over at 140.5. Coney, what do you got?
All right. Yeah, just to update people, if Florida had beaten Duke in the championship, I would have won the bracket outright. Now I need Florida to beat Houston, and I need 163 points or more. So I'm going to offset that by taking under 146.5, which is the most points I can take on the under and still be under the minus 200 odds for our betting segment here. And then I'm going to take Florida minus 1.5 at minus 105.
Yeah, God, this is going to be it. I'm so interested because, again, like we opened with, these teams are so different. I can't wait to see what type game we get. All right. Blaine is going to take Florida minus 1.5 as well. Coney at minus 105. And he's going to rock with me in the over. We're all trying to put it in the universe for you, dog. We're my-mouthing. Florida, Houston over 140.5 at minus 115. Then let's see what Ace has. Going baseball. Going to take the Yankees.
Ugh.
Minus 1.5. That's at plus 102 with the torpedo bats. They're absolutely drilling the baseball. Then the Pod Squad, the Padres, on the money line at minus 155. Let's see how we do. But speaking about seeing how we do, how are the donuts looking over there?
All right, Malcolm Martin says, go Gators, win that championship, but it's still fire Napier time.
Boy, Billy. Look, I'm kind of bullish a little bit on Florida this year. Kind of bullish a little bit on them.
All right, Humping Badger here, which no one should ever trust this guy. That's probably why Cooper Flagg missed that shot.
Probably.
Said, I got a number from a Cougar earlier today at the mall. Houston by 5. Trust the signs.
Well, first, congrats.
Yeah,
be careful out there. Badgers and Cougars.
Oh, man. All right, what else do we have here? Let's see. All right, $5 donation from Ryan Gade. Of course, Nick Castellanos. Did you see this? Nick Castellanos hit a grand slam the same day as Ovi broke the NHL record.
Of course he did. It's just right on time. Why don't I just bet? If you would bet on Nick Castellanos to hit a home run, like every time somebody's on the verge of doing something crazy, you'd make a lot of money.
Kevin says, absolutely, I think Sharp is going to go off for us today. That was your
yeah, I mean, they're going to need him. Somebody's going to have to do it. I think it's going to be him. Interested to see how Roberts does, too, down low with those big guys, just because he's 6'8".
Jack says, look, I'm tired of all the yapping. Let's get the showdown started already. Go Cougs.
All right. Well, I promised Ike I'd give him a quick motivational speech. So let's go ahead and play it before we get out of here. Play the music. 8 years old. 100 years ago, you're basically an adult. But not now. Out there with Wes Knox. Hitting the baseball around. Time of your life. Nothing like the 8-year-olds playing baseball, travel ball, whatever it is. Yes, 8-year-olds play travel ball. But Ike, on this level up day, all right, this level up week, however your family celebrates it, just remember, your hands are always quicker than you think. And not that you have to know this yet, but just keep this for when you get older, all right? You expect fastball, adjust to the curve, go the other way with it. Happy level up day, my friend.
Well,
all right. That's it. Alien, how did we do?
He's pleased.
Good. I'm glad. I hope they all are, because they could kill us if they wanted to. We appreciate you guys being here. Remember, we're going to have that live reaction right after the game tonight, so make sure you check us out. And like the chances of me not missing college basketball when it's gone after tonight, we're going. Gone. Get out of here. Florida by 6.